Well, hi, folks. I'm Chris Dorr with the Pennsylvania Firearms Association. And in this video, I'm going to give you our take on New Orleans and what happened down there. But I'm going to do it in a little bit more of a broad context. So it'll only take a couple of minutes and I will jump right into it. You know, it's easy sometimes, I think, for us to fall into the idea that our mission to defend and expand the Second Amendment here in Pennsylvania is somewhat academic. It's important, yes, to most people, to a lot of people, but I think many times people subconsciously believe that some of the bills that we're pushing or some of the bills that we're opposing in Harrisburg don't have that much of an impact on our daily lives, that we're going to do what we're going to do regardless of what the law says, or the code says, I should say. And I understand why people have thought that in the past, for sure. Our country has been coasting for my entire life on the social blessings and of peace and prosperity that our Christian heritage and the hard work of our forefathers accrued. So, for the most part, violent crime could be avoided by not straying into certain neighborhoods after dark. Random acts of violence were so rare growing up for me personally, and for a lot of us, that we almost never heard of it happening. In fact, growing up in the peaceful 1980s as a kid, I don't think I knew a single person who carried a concealed handgun. It was so unnecessary, people never even thought about doing it. But the attack in New Orleans last week reminded all of us that the society we grew up in, the cultural security that America thrived under for generations, well, that's going away. In fact, I think it's gone. For many, the Second Amendment is taking on a whole new meaning, and it should. Today's America is completely unrecognizable to what it was 10 years ago, let alone when we were growing up. In just the last 2 weeks, we've seen a terrorist kill 15 people in New Orleans using a vehicle, a rifle, and IEDs designed to kill the first responders. We've seen a Tesla truck loaded with a bomb and detonated in front of Trump Hotel in Las Vegas to send a very clear message. We've seen a foreign national light a woman on fire in a New York City subway, murdering her and then just sitting back on a park bench while he watched her burn. We've seen a violent thug in New York City who was released from prison despite multiple attempts to sexually assault women, push a man into an oncoming subway train for no reason whatsoever. We saw a 14-year-old boy tied to a tree and disemboweled in Seattle by a 17-year-old monster who was released from custody by a judge, even though he faced charges of armed robbery. I could go on and on and on. And it's not just happening in New York City or blue states either. Just a few months ago, in my home state of Iowa, in far northwest Iowa, I guess it would be that direction on the video, northwest Iowa, deep in Norman Rockwell country, a man was arrested in the tiny town of Hull, Iowa, on 2 counts of attempted murder and arson for stabbing 2 men, then setting fire to the house to try to burn the evidence. It's almost unbelievable, but it's not. None of this is by accident. Everything we are witnessing today is the result of a carefully coordinated effort to open up America's borders and let tens of millions of unvetted criminal illegals pour into our country. And in that massive number are people who hate our country and hate our Christian heritage and who are absolutely determined to attack us. By the way, these attacks, they've been going on for millennia. Just it's been happening in other countries where we can't see it. And of course, the FBI and every national law enforcement and intelligence agency has been completely complicit in every bit of this. Our federal agencies can't see a sniper on a slope roof in Butler. They deny the New Orleans attack was terrorism, and they've refused to secure our borders, but they're excellent at harassing hurricane victims in North Carolina. They get bang-up reviews for terrorizing angry parents at school board meetings. And of course, they're renowned for being able to locate a J6er, a peaceful J6er, 1,500 miles away in just a couple of hours. Now, it's my hope that President Trump can deal with these federal agencies. And I pray to goodness that he does, at least for a few years. But there are tens of millions of criminal illegals already here. They aren't leaving, not willfully. And even if 99% of them are here to attack, are not here to attack Americans, the 1% who are capable of carrying out attacks unlike anything we've ever seen here in America before. So let me just recap this here a little bit. We have tens of millions of criminal illegals in our country that are unvetted, many of whom are known to be violent criminals. We have federal law enforcement agencies that are more interested in harassing the American people than doing anything to stop violent criminals. We have an entire justice system that is filled with liberal and degenerate judges who release murderers, rapists, and other violent psychos onto our streets on the daily basis. Just go to Philadelphia and ask Larry Krasner about that. And we have an American culture that is degrading in real time as we collectively turn our back on the Christian heritage of faith, personal responsibility, and community ties that united us in the past. This is a recipe for violence and chaos and disorder. And the attacks that we've seen over the last few days, I fear, will only increase in frequency and severity once President Trump is in office. And I dearly hope I'm wrong on that. Dearly hope. But this is where the Second Amendment takes on an entirely new meaning. Defeating gun control in Harrisburg isn't just a political objective anymore. It's becoming a matter of life and death. Is that sensational? Maybe, but I don't think so. You see, despite all of the violence that we are seeing carried out against people like you and me on the daily now, we still have politicians all over this state and all over this country who want to ban our AR-15s, take away our high-cap magazines, register our guns, and limit the quantities of ammo that you and I can buy. It makes me angry, and I imagine it probably doesn't make your day any better either. Here's my point, though, in all of this. We need to step on the gas and do everything we can to defeat every gun control bill, pass every pro-gun bill we can think of right now to make it that much easier for Pennsylvanians to be able to defend themselves in the years ahead. But don't hear what I'm not saying. To be clear, let me be clear, as idiot Biden would used to say. I'm not saying that defeating gun control and passing pro-gun bills will solve the underlying problems. The solution to these problems aren't found in politics. That's why the Democrat left consistently tries to bring these moral issues up in committee meetings and demand a political answer. The problems here, the solutions to these problems are found in our churches, in our homes, in our private schools, not government schools, and in our neighborhoods where we're all united in our culture and heritage and faith. Those things, those fabric of society things, those are beyond the scope of the Pennsylvania Firearms Association. Our job is to make sure that the laws of Pennsylvania here are absolutely preserved, and we defend our right to keep and bear arms, because going forward, we're going to need those rights more than ever before. So, my conclusion, stay free, buy another AR-15 and a whole bunch of ammunition. We never know when we're going to need them. And if you have not yet joined or renewed your membership in the Pennsylvania Firearms Association for 2025, it would be our pleasure and our honor to have you join